All right. And we are back with, what is this, episode 4 now?
Yes, episode 4.
The Big Three Players Club, presented by
maybe episode
Krauss.
4, but we're not 4-0. We're
Oh my God!
I mean, listen, it's all about the record. Okay, both of us are sitting in a very, very unenviable position right now with our teams. So let's have some fun with this interview, and we'll worry about tomorrow's game when we play each other to try to see if we can survive, because that's a huge game for both of us at 1 and 2.
Yes,
I mean,
it
a
is.
really big game.
Determined,
but anyway,
right?
we have joining us is here to the left of me. She's been a dear friend forever. You know, people know her Lady Magic. That's what they called her. That's what she was when she was playing in college. They called her Lady Magic. But, you know, I've read up a little bit. I've known you for a long time, and I knew a lot about you, but I also found some things that I didn't know about you. I didn't realize how young you were when you made a national team for USA basketball. So tell us a little bit about that, and how the hell a redheaded Jewish girl from New York wound up playing basketball.
Okay, well, it started, and thank you for the intro, but it started, you know, I played football and baseball were my first 2 sports. And most people, or a lot of people that know me, know that, you know, I had a tough childhood. You know, my dad was not around. We were poor. There were days that we didn't have heat or food or electricity, and we were one grandparent away from food stamps. If it wasn't for my mom's parents coming in from Brooklyn and taking care of us. And so, you know, I had like this anger, like when you're a kid, and I'm going to get to your question about the national team. But, you know, going to PS 104 here, you know, in Queens, my backpack or book bag was a brown paper garbage bag, and my pencil bag was a brown paper sandwich bag. Kids would make fun of me. I was getting fist fights every day. And, you know, we can't keep suspending you, Nancy. My mom would talk to me. She goes, Nancy, you know, little Jewish lady, you can't just beat everybody up. And I said, well, they hurt my feelings. And I didn't really have conflict resolution at that time. I was angry. I was broken. And then I started playing basketball. And the way I started playing basketball, Rick, is I was playing on a PAL baseball team, and we were going for our first game. And the manager, his name was Smitty, red-haired guy, he came up to me right before the game, and he goes, Nancy, I don't even know what to say, but you can't play on the team. And I went...
Well, you're playing against boys, though.
Yeah, but I said, Smitty, I'm your starting shortstop. I mean, I've been practicing for a month. Why can't I play? And they said they won't insure you because you're a girl.
Oh, wow.
So it was the first time I ever encountered that gender issue, discrimination. I didn't even know what discrimination was before that. So I was really upset. And so there's a local, it was called the Gustav Hartman Y. It was right in my neighborhood. And I went in there and I asked the guy, I said, like, do you have a basketball league? Is it all boys? And he says, yes. I said, can I play? Will you let me play? And he goes, yes, you can absolutely play. I said, you're not going to tell me that I can't play because I'm a girl and you won't insure me? He goes, you can play here all the time. So I got in the league. And that was really, it was a great moment for me at that time at, you know, 10, 11, 12 years old. Then I started meeting people and they said, hey, you know, do you want to play AAU basketball? We're playing in New York. So I played for the New York Chuckles. Remember Chuckles Candy?
I remember Chuckles Candy.
So he's no longer with us, this gentleman, Lavoisier Lamar. Oh my gosh, he's the best. He was humongous. He had a big old afro. He had those mutt chops. Lamar would drive to my house.
Pick you up.
In his Toyota. He was so heavy, the car was like this. He'd come to Far Rockaway, Bayswater, where I lived, and he'd pick me up, and my mom's like, who are you going with? Who's that? I said, that's my coach Lamar. We're going to go to Harlem. We have a game at Rucker Park tonight, or we have a game at, SUNY Westbury, or we have, New York, and, NYC, or we had games all over Manhattan, Canarsie. Lamar would come and get me, and I was the only white kid on the team.
So those two gentlemen, basically, if it weren't for them, you wouldn't have the life you have today.
There's every step of the way, there's been somebody, by the grace of God, who took me under their wing. And so I was playing in Harlem all the time. Like, I would take the A train from Far Rockaway, 40 minutes into Manhattan, change trains at Penn Station, and take the E into 155th, where Rucker Park was. I think it was Malcolm X. And I'd walk into the park, but I had big T-shirt or jacket, and I had T-shirts underneath, so I looked bigger, and I was like acting like I was massive. Red hair, skinny as I could be, and glaring at people on the train.
Oh, wow.
Do it to them before they do it to you.
Right.
And I walk into Rucker, and I have a ball, and these guys, the brothers, are looking at me, and they're like, little girl, are you lost? And I went, no, are you? Why do you think I'm lost? Because I talked like this before I had to go to elocution school for ESPN to be articulate. And the guy was like, you sure you know where you are? I said, yes, Rucker Park. What's your name? And he says, whatever. And another kid is mouthing. And I'm like, is your name Rucker? And he goes, no. I said, good, it ain't your park. and I'm going to play because my mom don't know I'm here. And I took the train, and I stole $2 from her wallet so I could be here. And I need for you to help make me good. And they were like, okay.
That's amazing.
So we just cut through all the
BS.
All the
That's
BS.
amazing.
The guys would ride the train home with me, Ronald, Donald, and Gary. And my mom would be like, who are they? I said, Ma, they're my friends. She goes, how are they your friends? We won 3 games at Rucker Park today, and they came back. And Ma, they're hungry. Can you give them spaghetti? And I was teaching my mom not to be racist and judgmental.
Well, your mother didn't actually like basketball either.
She
I mean, I
hated
know
it.
the story about you that what time, like she punctured 5 basketballs one time.
Screwdriver,
Tell us
right?
about that.
Gosh.
Dribbling around the house. And
Wow.
like, what are you doing? I mean, I had a paper route, and I had 150 people paper route, and that's how I got money. So the alternative was stealing, the basketballs or the sneakers. But I was so afraid of getting in trouble that I got a paper route. And she kept puncturing the balls because I was dribbling.
Making
around the
noise,
house.
right?
So where did that toughness come from? Because you were young. So where did that come from?
Well, I didn't know if I had the toughness, but playing in the streets makes you tough.
Yeah.
And, playing football or getting knocked down or being on the bottom of the pile and all you could see was the red hair because all these guys are pounding on you. But everybody has a moment, right? And that changes their life. Well, one day I came home and I saw this man on TV and he said, I'm the greatest of all time. I beat Joe Frazier like I beat George Foreman, like I beat Sonny Liston back in 1964. I'm too pretty not to be the champion of the world. I am the greatest of all times. And I was mesmerized. I was like, who is that?
Wow.
And I went into the kitchen and I'm like in the threshold and I looked at my mom and I went, I'm going to be the greatest of all times. And she goes, why are you talking like that? I said, I don't know. I was 10, but I'm going to knock you out. She goes, I am your mother. I said, okay, but I'm going to knock him out. She goes, that's your brother. I said, he's in trouble because I'm going to be the greatest of all times. And I ran in my room and I cried. And I fell in love with Ali.
Wow.
And everything I read. I went to the library, everything I could see. Remember, Wide World of Sports, he was always on. So at 13, 14, 15, I was kind of playing and really working hard at basketball. There was an article in the Long Island Press. It said, tryouts for USA women's team. Now, I was playing AAU. And I was a sophomore at Far Rockaway High School. It said tryouts at Queens College. So we all hopped in a car, and my teammate Marianne Aida's dad drove us to Queens College. I was 15. They put a number on you. There were 250 women in that gym at Queens College. I almost cried because, you know, my mom, people were like, what's wrong with your daughter? She needs to see a psychologist. She's stupid. She's dumb. She's never going to make anything of herself. Why is she hanging out with black people? There I was, getting in fistfights because those are my friends, my people. At the 250 women, every hour and a half, they would make a cut and they would post the numbers that were left. So from 10 in the morning all the way to 5 at night, it got down to 20, and they had a scrimmage on the main court, and I was still in the hunt. They picked 10, so it was like America's Got Talent. They had in New York, they had in LA, they had 4 different areas, and they took 40 total, 10 from each region to go to a pre-camp in Albuquerque, New Mexico. At the end of this game, they post the 10, and I was one of the 10. I was playing against high school, college All-Americans. So I'm like, Ma, you know, I made this team, and she goes, I don't know where you are. She didn't know where I went. So I get to the house, and I'm like, and I made this team, and it's Olympics, and I'm going to Albuquerque, New Mexico. And she goes, Nancy, like hell you are. I can't even afford to put food on the table. How am I going to send you to New Mexico? I said, I don't know, but it sounds like you're holding me back. And she's like, holding you back? I said, you need to find somebody who's going to help me get there. So my high school assistant principal, Barbara Sakowitz, she got a can of corn, opened it, cleaned it, put a label on the, said we're endeavoring to raise $300 to send Nancy to the USA tryouts. It was a 3-day camp in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Here I am, there's 40 of us. After 3 days, they picked 5 to go to the training camp with Pat Summitt, Ann Myers, Lucy Hare. It was like who's who of women's basketball.
Wow.
And on my 3rd day, I'm sorry, on my 2nd day, I got an elbow. Remember Joan Bonvincini?
Sure.
She played. Tara Vanderveer was there. I mean, there were unbelievable players there. So I had my ribs broken. So I'm getting ready to fly home, and Alberta Cox is the head coach. He's in the car with, I think it was Mildred Barnes. And they turn around as they're driving. They're like, honey, you go home and you get better and you keep working on your game because we're going to need you in 1980. Rick, I sat in the back of the car and I went, yo, coach, like, I'm not really that smart or nothing, but I know 76 comes before 80, and I'm going to be on the 76 team, so you're probably going to have to get used to me. And they let me off at the airport. How dare them tell me what I can't be?
Oh, I can relate to that. Don't tell me what I can and can't do. My God, who the hell are you to tell me what I can and can't do? I can relate to this.
But it's like, let me try. Encourage me to try. I'm 15 years old.
Right.
So I end up going to the Pan Am trials. A year later, I'm a little bit bigger, stronger. I'm 5'9" and could dunk a tennis ball. I was like the carnival monkey at Rutgers. They're like, fire, dunk a ball. I'm like, okay. And they give me a ball and I dunk it. Fire, hang on the rim. Can I come down now? I mean, it was my place. I was so protected in that environment, right, Dreamports?
Well, I had no idea about what you're talking about, that you were basically brought into a world that you had no idea existed. And I think it's really cool that those guys and all of the people involved at Rutger and whatever were, you know, accepted you. I think that's a great story. I mean, it really, truly is. They should make a movie of that.
Right.
Really.
Well,
That's cool.
I mean, thank you for saying that. But the way it works at Rutger is, you remember the first 5, 10 hit their foul shots and you play.
Yeah.
Then, so the first game is to 15, could take 30, 40 minutes. If you lose the next games to 11, but if you win 2 in a row, then you sit out. But if you lose the first game, there's a list. You could wait for an hour, hour and a half.
Wow.
So the key was to hit your foul shot. Now, these guys were massive and huge and amazing. I could make my foul shot. I wasn't Rick. Like, I wasn't 90%, 95%. But if I could hit 75 or 80 outdoors with the wind, most of the time, I would get into the first game. So I'd get to the first game, then we get to a second game, and then we would sit, and then, you know, depending how many people, we'd have the next game. It was amazing. So I make the Pan American team. We go to South America for the World Championships, and we were terrible. Then we go to Puerto Rico. We go to Mexico, and we play, and we win the gold medal.
In the Pan Am Games.
In the Pan Am Games. But it was crazy. Pat Summitt was my teammate. I'm like the only player in history to play with her, against her in college,
Right.
and for her on the USA team. So I played with the best of the best. She was like, okay, we're going to run the flex. And I'm like, what? do we run flex at Rutger? Nancy, we're going to run the 1-3-1 zone. And I'm like, what?
You were a novice.
So here, my claim to fame, I make the Olympic team in '76. Now, I'm a senior in high school. Year before, I was a junior in high school. This is no joke. We had not qualified for the Olympics yet. So we had to go to a tournament in Hamilton, Ontario. So we're at McMaster's College. We're playing in the game. We had to beat Bulgaria to qualify for Montreal. We are in the game. Ann Myers is in the back of the 1-3-1 zone. This girl on that side, they're reversing it, and she's just knocking down corner. There was no threes at the time, but knocking down corner shots. I'm like normal. I'm like 17 lights, 19 lights, and the coach goes, Nancy, and I'm like 20, 21. And Pat Summitt is next to me. She goes, Coach wants you. And I go, why? The game's still going on. And she looks at me. She goes, Coach Moore wants you. And so I get up and I'm like, yes. She goes, Nancy, go in the game. I'm embarrassed to tell you. She goes, go in the game for Ann. She goes, I want you in the back of that zone. I want you to run as fast as you can. I want you to jump as high as you can. And as you get to the shooter, just step to the side and contest the shot. And I go, okay. So I go in the game, and the official goes, ma'am, you need to take your warm-ups off.
jeez.
I said, it was so cold. I said, take my warm-up. I was like, I can't believe I had them on. They reversed the ball. The shooter's in the corner. I run. I'm like athletic. I run as fast as I can. I jump as high as I can. And the next thing, my knees hit her in the chest, and her head hit the back of the bleachers. And she's on the ground, and I'm like, she's dead. She's dead. And I look at Billy Moore, and she's like, I said, step to the side. Step to the side. And I went, she ran into me. She goes, no, she did not run into you. And I'm like, get up. In my New York voice, I'm like, just get up. She's Bulgarian. She didn't know what I'm saying. I'm like, get up. They take her off on a stretcher.
Oh my gosh, Nancy.
Oh my gosh. Their best player, Lynn doesn't even know this. Their best player is now being wheeled out, and I'm like, okay, well, we win the game. requalified for the
Right.
Olympics.
Oh my gosh.
So people ask me, like, what was your contribution?
A knee in the chest.
I helped America get to Montreal.
A knee in the chest.
It was-
But that's so cool at that age to have that happen. But then, you know, you went on, and obviously, you know, the local team wanted to have it. Was Canisius wanted to have you, and then you wound up getting heavily recruited by Old Dominion, and had an amazing career there and playing at Old Dominion. But the thing is that after you got done with all the stuff you did there, the records you set, the steals that had, the assists that you had, the points that you scored, you didn't have pro basketball at a high level then. You went through an incredible journey, and you wound up getting into real top-notch pro women's basketball later on in life. So that was a long story, I'm sure, and road that you had to travel down as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Old Dominion, I'm forever grateful to Old Dominion because of being so young and being at the Olympic trials, Pan Am trials, the bleachers were full of college coaches. So I didn't have to go to schools. They were there. So I would not have been able to go to college because we couldn't afford it. But I had over 100 scholarship offers. And the one thing that I thought is I want to go to the school that has the worst record. Because I was an underdog.
The big fish in the little pond, or the little fish in the big pond?
I didn't even have that thought. I wasn't that smart, but I just felt like an underdog. All right, I had all my Nancy Camp moments. So I would say, so UCLA, how many wins did you have last year? And, you know, some teams offered me money. And even back then, I was like, no, I don't need your money. I just need to know, did you lose a lot last year? And they're like, what is wrong with her? Old Dominion was like 6 and 20 something. So I'm like, that's my school. I could drive there in case I get homesick. I can go home. And we got in the locker room at Old Dominion. There were 7 freshmen. And I was like, right here, pinky swear with me. I'm taking Debbie Richards' job. Whose job are you taking? I'm taking Yvette Baggett's job. Whose job are you taking? I'm taking Wendy Larry's job.
I love it.
We made a pact in the locker room that we were taking an upperclassman's job.
Wow.
And somebody said, why? They won 6 games last year.
Yeah.
There's a good enough reason to have pinky swears.
Right?
So we, in 4 years, we go 125 and 15. We go,
Wow.
you know, we were 23 and 9. We were 30 and 4. We were 37 and 1, 35 and 1. We win the NIT. We win back-to-back national championships. We were the first women's team to ever play in prime time on live TV for the championships.
And let me explain to people who don't understand what you said. You won the NIT. Back then, that was the big tournament. It wasn't the NCAA. It was the NIT that was the big tournament.
Yeah, you know, we beat Tennessee my last year. We beat Louisiana Tech. So we didn't have a pro league. You know, the WBL was just coming into play. I get drafted by the Dallas Diamonds, and, you know, my hero, one of my basketball heroes, you know, Walt Frazier wore number 10, which is my number my entire career. And, you know, one day I was reading that Walt Frazier made $100,000 playing for the Knicks. So when Dallas asked me about salary, I was with Dr. J, and I said, Julius, we had met when I was 14. I went to his basketball camp, and he patted me on the head and said, you'll be good if you play hard. I went, okay. And the next year I came back and had a gold medal from the Pan Ams, and he goes, where did you get that?
That is
I
amazing.
said, you patted me on the head, and you told me to play hard. And I tried out for the Pan Am teams, and he was like, you were on the Pan Am team? I'm like, yeah, yes. And it's real, you know. I was so young. And
Amazing.
so I asked Julius, I said, can you help me? I want to do my contract. He said, well, what do you think you're worth? And I said, well, I made a mistake, I think. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, we played in Madison Square Garden, and Jane Pauley, I did the morning show, and she said to me, well, Nancy, are you going to play in the WBL? I said, yeah, I think so. She said, well, Ann Myers is making $50,000. She's the highest paid player in the league. And she says, what do you think you deserve? And I went, well, Jane, I don't know, but I'm twice as young and twice as good, so I think I should make 100. And he didn't talk to me for like 4 years. I had no filter. You were like,
no, I was like that. My wife said, honey, what goes into your brain doesn't necessarily have to come out of your mouth. You need to have the filter. And both of us in those, I didn't have the filter either. I just said whatever I felt. And so, but hey, but
you believed in you.
But you didn't get the 100 though. You got 3 years. You got 75,000.
No, I didn't.
You got 250.
Nope, I got 3 years, 300,000.
Well, see, they said 250 only what I read. You
No.
got 3 years for 250.
Jeez.
So that was missing. You can't always, don't always believe everything you read. But it said 3 years, 250 for that
No,
contract.
Julius had same.
Well, good. No, I'm
Julius
great. I'm
sent
happy
me
for
his
you.
ABA contract, and he just kind of blacked out some of the numbers on his. But I literally followed his, and he encouraged me to research how many fans they had the year before, how many walk-ups, what did they have sponsors, how many times were they on TV. And I came in and I said, well, this was your tickets last year, $6, and you had, 800 people coming. And if we get 4,000 people, and so I just did the math.
Wow.
And they're like, okay. So it wasn't emotional, it was factual, because I just did the number. If I had done that in school, I wouldn't have been a 2.3 GPA. I would have been like.
Well, I'm a little jealous because I had the same goal. My goal was to become a $100,000 a year player. When I first came in, there were only 3 guys making $100,000 in the NBA.
Is that
so
right?
That was my goal to do that. But you started out, and your first time you got $100,000. So give me a fist bump on that one.
Thank you. But I mean, I didn't even know didn't know what to do with it. And Walt Frazier had Walt Frazier Enterprises. I had no clue what it meant, and I incorporated Nancy Lieberman Enterprises.
That's amazing.
I didn't even know what an enterprise was.
That's amazing. Have you and Julius talked about that story since?
Oh yeah, we laugh about it, but I'm grateful to him. So I get drafted, and I do another interview because now it's summer league, and I'm playing in a NBA summer league with Charlie Chris and some of those guys on a 17th Street at Xavier High School. So Dr. Jerry Buss and Jerry West watch it in LA. And the next day, Jerry West calls me at my mom's house and says, Nancy, the Lakers would like you to play for them in their summer league. And I'm like, I really don't like you guys because, Jerry, you hit that shot almost half court over Willis Reed, and it was game 6. And he goes, can we get past that? I said, I know you want me to play, but I had to share how I felt about you. And no filter, Nancy.
I wanted to play for the Knicks too, but they didn't let me do that either. So what the hell?
You never let them live that down, right?
Everything in life happens for a reason.
Yeah.
It really, truly does. If you get anything out of this, folks, get that. It really does. Sometimes it takes 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, a year, but eventually you'll understand why things happen in your life because they really do happen for a reason.
Now, I know we refer to this kind of no filter Nancy, no filter Rick, kind of tongue in cheek, but how much do you guys think, because you're both from the New York area, Rick from nearby Elizabeth, you from Far Rockaway in Brooklyn and Queens, how much do you think growing up in and around New York City basketball influenced your attitude, your career, your demeanor, your confidence? Because there are a lot of hotbeds of basketball around the country, LA, Chicago, but New York's something unique.
You can't do what he's done in his career without having swag and, letting people know you can ball with them. I mean, if you're like, oh, yeah, then you'll just get swarmed.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to kind of have an attitude and a belief.
I don't know if I really had that when I was younger, to be honest with you. I just played, and fortunately, I was taught how to play the right way by my father. See, you didn't have that influence. You had the 2 gentlemen who helped you along and taught you stuff. My dad was a semi-pro player and coach, so I had an advantage in that I knew the game. I really understood the game. And then I was blessed with God-given talent, and I had a lot of great coaches along the way and learned a lot. But I think part of it is, to get back to you, Christian, is in New Jersey and New York, I grew up playing against the black players. Where I lived, I had to go to Brophy Field to play there and do something. It was the black players who were there, who were great athletes and great players, and that was the way that they could only afford to do it because you didn't have to spend a lot of money for them. You just needed a ball. And you go to the playground and you play ball. And so that I think helped me a great deal, being able to go and do that. And it was tough. It was physical. And you just learn. You get knocked down, you get up. You know, and so that was kind of cool. And I think same thing happened to you. I mean, your whole thing was growing up in that environment, learning the game from a different world.
Yes.
A totally different world.
But everybody, it was physical for you. Everybody was bigger, stronger, faster than me. But everybody took me up a level with the physicality. And if I got knocked down or somebody hit me with a screen, I had to learn how to navigate that. Like even with, you know, playing for the Lakers, it was unbelievable. Like you can go back and look at all those docuseries on the Lakers now, and it answered a lot of questions for me because that's when Pat Riley came out of the TV booth and, you know, took over for Jack.
Yeah, when he got the bicycle
When he got
accident.
the bike accident. So they said they called Pat that next day and they say, hey, you have a new player coming. Her name's Nancy Lieberman. He goes, I don't want Nancy Lieberman. I told the guys yesterday when they were up on the wall stretching that this was going to be serious and we're going to take them to a different level. And here I am because Dr. Buss, he was so ahead of gender equality and not afraid to make a decision that I could do this or getting that, you know, just getting that chance. So my first practice was a legendary 3-hour Pat Riley practice. And he'd say, I need 5 guys on the court. I ran out. I was one of the 5 guys because I needed to get on the court. And you could see Mike Tebow, he was his assistant coach, and everybody was there. And I would make mistakes. They'd correct me. They'd coach me up. I'd get repetition. I'd kind of get an understanding of what, you know, Pat wanted to run as a point guard.
So they gave you a legitimate chance.
Yeah. So when I would walk off the court and the next 5 guys would come on, I would just say, you know, hey, if you don't know how to run that, I do, and I'd be happy to walk you through it. And the coaches are on the sideline like, who is she? Okay. 3 hours later, practice is over. Pat goes into the coaches' meeting, and he looks at his staff. He goes, who the fuck does she think she is? She acts like she's the best player on the court. And Dr. Buss is there, and Jerry West. He's like, what do you want me to do with her? She's telling players what to do. She's telling them where to go and how to run offense, defense. They beat the shit out of her. She didn't cry, and she tried to start 2 fist fights. He goes, what do you want me to do with her? And
They really need to make a movie now. After
They
hearing all
really
this
do.
stuff.
They really do.
I have the video of, so then 4 days later, I was his starting point guard.
Wow.
So I'm going to fast forward you for a second to 2014. I'm at this NBA Coaches Symposium, the year before I started coaching in the league. It's all the coaches, head coaches, assistant coaches, GMs, you know, everybody from Pat Riley to Doc Rivers to, you know, Phil Jack, everybody's there. It's at the Clippers facility. It was hosted by Vinny Del Negro. And I'm sitting next to Nick Nurse, who I coached against in the NBA G League. So Nick and I are there. I have an, you know, iPad, and I'm just filming all the, you know, the speakers. So Pat gets up there and he goes, you know, sometimes in life you have to be open-minded to things as he's sharing his wisdom. He said, I had an experience back in 1981. And matter of fact, Nancy, you're here. And I'm like, hey, hi. He goes, you know, I've told this story quite a bit. And, you know, Nancy, I've made a lot of money off of this speech. And I'm like, what? So he told them the story that I just told you. So Nick is here. He goes, and then, you know, I really didn't want her. And then, you know, she was in practice. And Nick is like, you played for the Lakers? I said, can you stop talking while he's talking about me? Please. And I'm still filming. And he's like, and then she tried to start 2 fights. He goes, you stop talking. He's talking about me. This went on with him for like 20 minutes. I have the video of Pat saying, sometimes in life, you don't know who you're going to learn from. He says every day they were bigger, they were stronger, they were knocking her around, and every day she showed up. She never complained. She ran my offense. And he looks at me, he goes, and Nancy, after 6 weeks, we put our hands in the locker room, and what did we say? 1, 2, 3, Nancy.
Wow.
He said, she opened my eyes because she didn't look like, in my mind's eye, the point guard I thought could lead my team. You know, I used to be coaching in New York and LA and think when we were in tough situations, and I was like, what am I going to do? He said he used to think of me because every time, like, I overcame whatever was my problem, and he said that gave him inspiration. And I'm like, I didn't know this for 30 years. So you never know whose life you're influencing. We're playing in 86 for Frank Layton. And another story with Frank Layton, they invite me to play the Jazz. Danny Vrains, Tom Chambers, Mark Eaton, all those guys that are out in Utah. So I come down one time, and Mark Eaton is moving, and he's running, and he's yelling at me. I thought Mormons don't curse, but they do. And he's yelling at me, give me the effing ball, give me the effing ball. And I gave him the ball. And then Frank calls the timeout, and he goes, do you want to play here? And I said, yeah, I do. He goes, don't you ever give him the basketball again when his feet are moving. You are setting him up for failure. He's 7'4". You get his feet set. If his feet aren't set, you reverse the ball. Like, I'm dealing with two titans here. So next time I came down and he's yelling for the ball, and I went to the side and said, get on the block. And he's yelling at me. We're having an argument. I said, get on the block and get your feet set. Okay. And I reversed the ball, and he's yelling at me. And the next time I said, we're running down the court, and I'm like, just do what I say. And he ran right down to the block, and he posted up, and he dropped step. He went to give me a high five. He almost broke my shoulder.
Wow. He's a big guy.
He's a big man.
He was a big guy.
It takes like a special person to like be in a situation like that, men or women, to be in situations like that with Pat and like the one you just named, and to stay grounded like that. How did you stay grounded in situations like that and like just continue like to believe in yourself and just, act it out?
I don't overthink anything. I'm sort of a minimalist. There's a lot of people in this world who I call them mind monsters. He likes me. He doesn't like me. I could do this. I can make the pass. I could not make the pass. It could go. It could be stolen. It could be turned over. They could put me on the bench. People are dealing with a lot.
Yeah.
And I take that stuff seriously. I'm a minimalist. I can make the pass or not make the pass. We can win tomorrow or not win tomorrow. Rick could love me as his sister or not love me as his sister. And if you pour into people and you try to do the right thing, I mean, God plays through my mistakes every day. He must have a great sense of humor, because here I am. And, I just love what I do. Playing was the greatest thing because you determine probability and outcome. The next important thing you can do is coach, because you're still in the foxhole and you're working with people and you're teaching and you're elevating them to places.
So much tougher.
It is hard, especially when you've been successful. And then the next thing you can do is do TV, because you get to celebrate the players that are on the court.
Don't have to worry about wins and losses.
Yes, yes.
I think what Nancy's saying, though, Joy, is that basically you have to be yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
You should never try to be someone else. You can learn from someone else. You can admire someone else, respect someone else, try to emulate someone else, but you still have to be your own person.
Yeah.
And let me say this that I learned from my hero. Ali, after we won our first championship, I was asked to go December of 1979 back to New York. There was a fundraiser by the United States Olympic Committee, and it was at the Stock Exchange. So they asked me to go. And I was player of the year in college basketball. We had just won the championship. So I'm kind of full of crap, feeling I'm still broken, but I'm hiding behind Nancy Lieberman and, So going up the escalator, and I asked the guy, like, who's the other athlete with me? Like I'm important. And he goes, yeah, we're going in the green room right now. And it's with my mom and my best friend, Barbara. And I said, well, who's the other athlete? And we're getting ready to get to the door. And he goes, it's you and Muhammad Ali. And I went, he's here? Muhammad Ali is here? And he goes, yeah, we're going in the room. And the door opened, and it was like that Oprah. And I can't breathe because I didn't know if I was going to kill you. I didn't know if I was going to kill me when I was young. And that man saved my life. And my mother runs over to him and goes, Mr. Muhammad, how are you? I'm Rini Lieberman from Far Rockaway. And he's like, and she's got her hand over here. My daughter is the greatest of all times. And he goes, listen, lady, there's only one greatest of all times. And he says, I know, you know, but my daughter, so he calls me over. I'm hyperventilating. And I can't even look at him. And he says to me, your mom says you're good. And I'm like, Mr. Muhammad, I'm the greatest of all times. And he goes, there's two of us? I said, yeah. And like, Mr. Muhammad, I beat up people every day. I get in fist fights all the time, even in practice. He goes, Nancy, I'm going to ask you not to hit people. And I went, you hit people? He goes, I get paid to hit people. Right. So he knew, you know what you know what you know. And for some reason, this man said, can you come back to the plaza where he was staying? We're in his suite, and I'm in Muhammad Ali's suite at like 10 at night, and he's teaching me about racism. He's teaching me about, you know, what hurts a black person. And he's teaching me that when the day is white, it's good and happy. When it's dark and black, it's really scary. And the person in the movie that wore the white hat was the hero. I didn't even think about this. The person in the movie that wore the black hat was the bad guy. But, you know, you don't even think about those connotations until somebody starts pointing them out to you. And I was like, and he goes, and, you know, black people, they're just hurt. And I was like, so Gary, Ronald, Donald, and Gary, they're not happy? But I'm with them every day. They're hurting? I mean, he could hear my love and my empathy. And I'm like, what do I have to do? You know, how do I? He goes, Nancy, he taught me how to be an everyday champion. He taught me about philanthropy. He taught me about being the giver, not the taker. He taught me to respect everybody and fear nobody. I am not afraid to go into Rucker Park. I am not afraid to coach in the Big Three. I am not afraid to coach in the NBA. I am not afraid because it is my DNA through the man that I love, who I miss dearly, who I had 37 years with, who taught me all these basic principles. And the one defining thing he said, which never allowed him to let me go, he goes, Nancy, the greatest Muslim, the most famous Muslim in the whole world, talking to a little Jewish girl. And he just looked at me, he goes, Nancy, God made you special. And I went, you know God too? You know everybody. Mr. Muhammad, that's amazing. Like, what is he like? And he goes, I'm going to need your home address, and I'm going to need your landline because I'm going to be in your life for the rest of mine. Wow. And I'm like, you are? He didn't want to let me out. He just...
That's awesome.
Wow.
But what I will say, those last 15 years, when he had Parkinson's and Lonnie would call me, she goes, baby, Muhammad would like to see you. And I get on a plane to Phoenix, and I'd walk in the house, and I was like, hey, Muhammad, how are you doing? And he'd be like, I love you. I go, I love you too so much. You know I came out of retirement more than you. And he would be like, you know, the lip thing? And I go, stop the pointing and the lip thing. Stop the lip thing with me. And we'd have so much fun. I'm like, Muhammad, this is my son, TJ. And he goes, he's good looking. I said, like his mother or his father? Good looking. So we had this thing where I would just sit there and hold his hand. And like, I just love you so much. And I appreciate you. And thank you for letting me in your house. And I would feed him and wipe his face and put a bib on him and just And, you know, somebody said to me, I said, yeah, I was with Muhammad yesterday and we were talking, and somebody goes, do not lie. He hasn't talked in years. And I said, I'm not lying. I said, he asked me how my son was. He did not. God is watching over, and I'm like, I'm just going to say, you're going to have to stop talking to me like that, because he wakes up in the morning and before they give him his medicine, I know when to get to the house. And he talks to me, like, he'll talk to me, like, slow and low, but we talk. I'm like, don't ever talk and say that to me again.
Well, we'll definitely do a movie of this. I mean, these are such great
crazy.
stories. No, it's amazing stories. I mean, just incredible what you've been through, what you accomplished. I mean, I can imagine. I can imagine, because my boyhood hero, to relate to it, was Willie Mays. That's why I wore 24. And I have a great story about that I won't get into here. And I wound up becoming friends with Willie Mays, my boyhood hero. I mean, and that's the same thing that happened to you. I mean, that's why I say, isn't this an amazing country with the things that can happen? You just don't know, and you just go about your business. You try to be yourself and be a good person, and amazing things can happen.
And you never know, like, you were playing for the Nets when I was in New York. So, you know, I had Julius, you didn't even know. I had Rick, I had Walt Frazier, Willis Reed. You know, as my basketball people, like, I am a fan of greatness. Like, never told you, I still fangirl that you're my friend. Because it means so much to me, like, to be able to say, oh yeah, Rick Barry's my friend. And another thing about this man and his wife, I invite him to my charity's gala, and 95% of the time, he says yes. And I'm like, that is so nice of him. He's got a gazillion things he could be doing for charity, making a living, doing what people want a Hall of Famer, iconic person to do. But he takes a day or so out of his schedule to give it to me, to allow me to help another kid who we don't know, that's maybe poor or underserved or broken.
Well, there's so much we can talk about, and we haven't even got into all the things that this lady has done, obviously. I mean, this could be a whole series for sure. But just so that you understand what she does with her foundation, I had the good fortune, she did this for me, to be able to actually put up a Rick Barry court in the San Francisco Bay Area, and she's done that all over the place. Tell a little bit about what you do with the foundation and the courts that you've done. It's a crazy number that you've already put up.
Well, thank you. The reason Nancy Lieberman Charities existed is because, when I was younger, I would just pray. I didn't know really that much about God. I would just pray, like, God, if you just help me, if you make me something, if you make me a something, or give me a chance to get out of my hood, I will be good to people. I'll sign autographs. I'll be nice to people. I will inspire people. I didn't know what I was saying, but I was just saying this. So then life goes on, and so many people did so much for me that, you know, I start making a living, and when I got to Dallas and I started making money, I went into South Dallas. I had a black gym bag. In the gym bag, I had $20,000 cash, and I knocked on the doors of people, and I'm like, hi, I'm Nancy Lieberman, and I'm playing with the Dallas Diamonds, and I just came back from Old Dominion, and can I help you, like, give you money for, like, groceries, or, like, pay your mortgage, or your rent, and people, like, this one lady, she was a big black woman, and she started giving me the hip. and she goes, you know, you shouldn't even be here. You should not be in this neighborhood. And why are you here? And I'm like, well, first of all, you're going to probably have to have hip surgery at some point in your life because of how you're
twisting that hip.
I said, why would you point your finger at me? I have a choice too. I can come here or not come here. I said, I just got paid to do something, and I took the money into the black community because I was raised by the black community in New York. I said, she goes, you're going to get jumped. I said, well, if I get jumped, then I won't be back here next time with a bag of money. I said, so you can either trust me and help me find people that I can help and protect me. Because if you don't want to protect me, then I know this is not where I belong. And that is how this charity started. Somebody said to me, Nancy, you should like become a 501c3. I said, I don't even know what those numbers are. But I would get paid and I'd just help. So we became a 501c3. I decided the pillars of my foundation were going to be a dream court, because on that court, I was safe, and it was my dream to be on a court because you couldn't make fun of me or hurt me any longer. We have given we've sent 100 high school seniors to college, HBCUs, it doesn't matter, Notre Dame, A&M, it could be a community college. We stay connected to those kids. We now have like 8 graduating classes, and we help them with their resumes. We help bridge them to jobs, paying jobs and internships. The Dream Courts, we have 129 currently. We'll open another 10 by the end of the year. We have over 5.5 million children on the courts. And it dawned on me later in life that this Dream Court was a pop-up classroom. That's where I learned inertia, I learned angles, I learned arc, I learned teamwork, responsibility, accountability. I learned how to win or lose. I have more points than you. I win, you lose. I learned
how to get along with other people
who didn't look like us, right? Or different genders, or what. It was a life learning thing. And now, as we've been through it, and Rick's been through these, you know what they are? They're communiversities. People want to commune. We want to be with one another. We are built to commune with each other. We're not built for segregation. That's what other people create. That's not what we create. We want to bring people together. We have STEM, financial literacy, kids and cops. We have career readiness, and we have civic engagement, where kids shadow civic leaders. We do, it's really cool. 2-3 years ago, we started doing racial social justice lecture series. We go on, we do 4 campuses collegiately and 4 high schools. And I'm usually like on a stage with somebody of color, and they tell their story. It could be a police officer, it could be somebody who, was a mom that created a cooking school, or it doesn't matter. And we talk, and we hit real conversations. And trust me, there's enough people who have said to me, why are you here? I go, I'm so tired of people ask me why I'm here. I'm here because I want to be here.
Right.
Listen to me and to what we say for an hour. If you don't like what we have to say, you don't have to come back, because I'm coming back because these are my people. So, right, respect everybody, fear nobody. You're going to sit there because you're black and I'm white, and you're going to try and intimidate me? Wrong, sister. It's not going to happen.
Well, it basically makes everybody kind of feel, when they hear what you've gone through and what you've been able to make of your life, it's really pretty special. And I still think, I'm going to keep saying it, this is a movie. This should be a movie, because it's so intriguing. What you've been through just from your own upbringing, come on. And to go through what you went through and to hear this, somebody needs to do a story of this. They really and truly do. I mean, it took 50 years finally to get a story about my team in '75. So hopefully it won't take 50 years to get a story and talk about what you've done. But it's miraculous. We have so much more we can do. But the show, this is a long show. This has been a very long show, but very enlightening.
Oh my gosh.
I think just to learn, I've learned more even about you than I even knew before. And I have even more respect for you. And I already had a lot of respect for you. So God bless you for what you've done. Hope you stay healthy and can continue to do what you're doing and get to the point where you have 500 Dream Courts up there sometime. Yep.
Well, it's a goal, but I will say this in closing for me. People, you talked about Willie inspiring you. Kobe Bryant. TJ thought I died on the helicopter because Kobe and I were texting. We were very, very close friends. And he pushed me into certain areas. Like when I played in the W at 39, a rookie, and then I came back and played at 50. And then I went back to do TV. We were doing the Laker game, and I saw Kobe down the hall, and he goes, I need 15 minutes of your time. And I was like, okay. This is 2008. He said, Vanessa, Natalia, and I watched you play. I felt like I was in a think tank. He goes, why did you play? How did your body feel? Were you afraid? How long did you train? How did people handle you? I mean, he asked me about 50 questions. I said, Cobes, why are you asking a 50-year-old white woman these questions? You're the MVP of the NBA. You're the world champion again. Why are you asking me? But he was so good. He didn't care who you were. He was pulling knowledge. He was amazing. And so our friendship developed over time, even throughout my coaching in the NBA. We're always texting. I did, when we were playing, when the Kings were playing the Clippers, they would put me in the Laker locker room because there was no locker room for women yet. So I was by myself, and I look around, and there's Kobe's double locker. So I took my skirt, my top, my heels, I put them in his locker, and I click, took a picture. And I sent it to him. I have it on my phone. I sent it to him, and I go, Kobe, you know we're tight, right? And you can tell me anything. I mean, if you're going through some stuff, you can tell me anything. And he goes, what are you talking about? I go, hang on a minute, because we got a game in an hour. And I text him the picture, and he went, you're not going to post that, are you? I said, how high are those heels?
Oh, my God.
And I said, should I just go right to Vanessa? Oh, how do you want me to handle this? And he goes, please don't post that. I love you. I go, I love you too. I think about it. I'll get back to you. So we were texting 2 nights before he died. Oh. The guys were doing the Spurs and the Pelicans. They're like, Kobe said women can play against men. And you know, and I'm like Greg Buckner, and I'm like, you know, I'm here. You know, I'm right here behind you. And I said, I had to do this because I didn't have a league for 17 years. I said, do you want to ask Kobe how he feels about it? No. Yeah. I go, okay. So I start texting. Kobe, I'm here with these guys, and do you want to talk about women playing against men? And he goes, yeah. I said, when do you want to do it? He goes, right now. We have an hour thread, and he's like, well, those dumb ass motherfuckers, they don't, I have it on my phone. They don't know. They're just weekend warrior, jackass, blah, blah, blah. Oh, they don't respect women. You know, you played for the Lakers and Pat Riley. I'm like, how do you know I played?
Right.
And I'm like, duh, okay, my bad. We had this thread. He goes, so here's what I've learned. Anything. If you say you're going to do something, do it.
Yeah.
He and I had been talking for over 2 years about me coming to LA and putting Gigi's team through a practice or two. Wow. We got busy making money, being Nancy and Rick and this and that. Never happened. He said, when are you coming? I said, I have TV tonight. I'm doing an appearance in LA tomorrow. I have TV Monday, Tuesday. I can do Wednesday. I go to Palm Springs. I do my appearance. Kobe calls me Saturday night after midnight. Okay, Wednesday, you get to LAX, you'll get an Uber, you go to the house, we'll grab some food, we'll get on the helicopter, we'll go to the Mamba Academy. You got her as long as you want with the team. If you need me, and I'm like, Kobe, of course I need you. And he goes, and then stay at the house, you leave the next day. Friday night, I told TJ that he was in Europe, that Kobe and I'm going to coach Gigi's team. Sunday morning, I'm at an event, and TJ's blowing up my phone. And I grab my purse, and I run out the back, and I'm like, TJ. He goes, Mom. I'm like, what? He goes, Mother, you haven't heard. I go, heard what? He goes, Mom, Kobe Bryant died. I go, no, he didn't. I just talked to him last night. I'm going out there Wednesday. He goes, Mother, his helicopter crashed, and I thought you were on it. This is God. Mm. I swear that I put my phone on vibrate. If I put my phone on vibrate, my son, for an hour or two, has no communication with me. I didn't, because I was in a big event. It rang. It was ringing, which is why I ran out. And that's how I found out Kobe died.
Yeah, so tragic.
It was horrible.
Wow.
You never know. So if you say you're going to do something, just do it.
Well, they're just another chapter in the story for TV, maybe the movie, whatever.
My gosh.
I mean,
yeah.
it's
honestly could make
it's
a whole
incredible. It really is
whole
incredible.
show about
So-
this.
But we thank you for joining us. We have so much more we can talk about. Hopefully, my team will play better than yours tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. And here's the thing, Nancy. Here's the thing. Last time I checked, you didn't make a shot. The last time I checked, I never made a shot.
True.
And so that's the hard part about it. Is just that you could say all the things, you could put all the things that you learned down on paper and doing stuff. It still comes down. The players are the ones who determine the outcome of games. I always have felt that coaches get too much credit, but they also get way too much blame.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you so much. Good luck
Looking
tomorrow.
forward to a great game tomorrow.
Thank
And
you.
Thanks for
Thank you.
joining us, Nancy. We
Thank
really
you guys
appreciate
for
your time.
having me.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
yes.